Hello, this is National Chess Master R. Rats here to continue my video series on the correspondence team match between my video lessons group and the team from CARPE DIEM. And this was played on board 171. Our man is MauiMan, and we have a rating advantage of about mid 1600s to low 1500s. Let's see how this game turns out. There's quite a lot to this actually, even though it doesn't seem at the beginning that there's that much. Now this is what they call the pulse in Sicilian. Black usually puts his queen on c7 because the pawns on e6 and a6 keep knights out from bothering it. But here Black elects to gain a tempo right now on the bishop and assist a future bishop b7 with pressure on e4. And now d6, and Black's got a pretty solid setup even though Black doesn't have anything developed. There's no way White can utilize his development advantage in this position, and White elects to put his knight on d2. Now normally you're going to put a knight on c3, and I can only surmise what went through Black's mind. Maybe Black didn't want to see that knight get kicked with a b4 move, but so he goes to d2. And now the inexplicable happens. First, I wouldn't have played a move like Queen b6, but it's okay that he did. Black needs to think about developing. You know, he's got his pawns about as well as they're going to be placed in this opening. Black doesn't need to move any pawns for a long time. Black needs to think about, first thing, let's get castled. Let's move the knight. That's 2 moves. 3 moves you can castle. Then you have this queen side develop. 4 moves. We're going to put this knight. We'll put it here for the 7. 5 moves. 6 moves. 7 moves. Okay, then you're on the C file, the half open C file. So 7 moves Black needs. White gets 7 moves too. What can White do? Well, let's see. 1. For the fun of it, we'll put this pawn here. 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, and then it'll be White's move in that position. Both sides will be fully developed. Okay, anybody's game. But Black elects to attack the knight, and now I'm always amazed when I see blunders like we're going to see here that happen in a correspondence game. Now, if you're playing this face to face, this is not going to happen. Okay, I don't even think it's going to happen in a blitz game. Well, it could, but White is totally oblivious to the fact his knight on d4 is on the take and he castles. And now Black takes the knight and has a completely winning game. But it's not going to stay like that. It's kind of remarkable what happens here. c3. Now, where are you going to put the queen? The logical place to put it is just back here on b6. Okay, that's the logical place. But c5 is where he puts it, and that's okay. But we'll see what happens here. Now Black starts developing his pieces, which he needed to do. Bishop e3. And I think this is the point where what Black just need to do is drop his queen back to c7, remain a comfortable piece ahead, finish his development, and everything would be fine. But Black goes off on a tangent here, which could have snake bit him. He transfers his queen to the king side. Maybe he has visions of a king side attack. Well, okay, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but your queen is attacking by itself. It doesn't have any support, and you know maybe there's not if you bring it back to c7, there's no convenient way to get it over the king side if that's what you want to do, right? But you know, you still have to bring in the rest of your pieces, and it's not clear to me at any rate how Black is going to attack the White king, even with an extra piece. It's just not going to be all that easy. Oh, you know, things can happen, but I think safe was just putting it back on c7. Now White decides to make a threat, attacking a pawn, and Black elects to hold on to it. But here, Black just goes plain wrong. Development is of prime importance, and there's one little thing wrong with Black's position. one thing I always say in my videos, every time you move a pawn, you weaken a square. And earlier I pointed out about that pawn on C6, I'm sorry, on E6 was controlling the D5 square to keep a knight out of D5. Well, there's no knight to go to D5, but there's something else to go to D5. Look at this position. If the queen or the bishop goes to D5, where does this rook go? Okay, it's trapped. And this is because black has not developed his pieces. The moment he played B5, he should have been considering getting this bishop to B7. But anyway, what black needs to do is cover this D5 square or cover the rook. So two logical moves here: bishop B7, and the other one is knight F6. But let's see, maybe knight F6 doesn't work. What if black or white does this anyway? Okay, now the rook has no retreat. Now you take it, and the queen takes its place. Whoops. Okay, you got a problem down here. What's the proverbial saying, Houston? We have a problem. Okay, what else can black do? Well, he could try this move. Okay, now what if bishop D5? Is there a way to protect that bishop? If you take it, the queen comes down and collects the bishop, and you have problems here. See, this is why this queen belonged on C7. Then you don't run into a problem on D6 where you have to weaken your pawn structure in order to maintain the pawn on D6. And the fact that white has this activity is because white's way ahead in development. White has a lot of tempos for the pieces down here. So maybe what you have to do is move this knight. Where are you going to put it? Let's put it on C6. That way we can block the diagonal. Now when bishop D5 comes, we just put the bishop on D7, and looks like everything is covered. So black did have adequate resources, but he got himself in a situation where, with his next move, where white had this availability. Now let's see what actually happened. I have to find the right spot on the PGN. Okay, bishop B3. Now black plays queen G6. So here's black's attempt to do a kingside attack. He's planning bishop H3, which can be defended against. But now suddenly white gets interested in the game. There's life, and finds bishop D5. Queen D5 would have pretty much done the same thing, but bishop D5 is effective. And all of a sudden, that, as I explained, that rook has problems. Now black plays bishop H3, threatening a mate. And here's where white goes astray. The simple move to play is knight E1, and black's going to lose this rook. It's just plain and simple. Okay. What are you going to do? Develop a piece? That rook's a goner. And when white takes it, now white's actually up the exchange. Now how can you go from a piece ahead to an exchange down? Well, you lose a rook. How can black lose a rook when he is a piece ahead? Well, he didn't develop his pieces. That's why, and he went off on an attack before his development was complete. So now white didn't find the right continuation, as you will see, but white had a theoretically winning game after having a very theoretically losing game. So what white opts to do is play G3 to break the mate, and black collects the rook, and this rook's still a goner. So for the moment, black is actually a rook ahead, but he's losing his rook in the corner. So with egg on his face, white collects the rook, and black has no longer ahead a piece, although he does get a pawn here. And let's go forward. Now finally black is getting his development worked on. Doesn't have to develop his queen rook. He lost it. Okay. And white missed a couple of, or black missed a couple of simpler wins here. Black's going to end up winning this, but here, Rook C8. Let me try and remember where this happened. Yeah, Knight C5. Here, Black missed a nice continuation. Bishop takes. Now this needs to be played. Now you get D5, or D4 rather. White can't take it with his bishop because there'll be a pin, and after pawn takes, the knight still takes it, and forking the queen and the bishop, and the queen is overworked. The queen would be guarding both the bishops. Black collects one, and then happily collects the other if the knight is recaptured. Okay, get that? It's pretty easy. Here, I'll take a look. Pawn takes, knight takes. You can't play bishop takes, so the queen has to move. How are you going to stay on both pieces? Well, you can't. So you take this, and this is what I was alluding to. This bishop falls, unless White can find a way to trap that knight. Let's see. Doesn't really have a retreat. F4 is covered, not by the G pawn. It's pinned. Maybe he's, well, I can't believe that White can actually win that knight. Let's see. I'm probably missing a better move. This looks pretty deadly. You can't, that's only legal move. Now there is a threat to win that knight. Let's see. How about if we go threaten a checkmate? Go ahead, take my knight with your queen. You get checkmated. So you take with the rook, and now there's got to be a combination here that wins for Black. Let's see. Right, you get this pawn with check, and then you're up 2 full pawns. I mean, that's the worst you can. Well, wait, yeah, this works here. There's your mate. Yeah, I knew there was a combination in here. So I don't think really White has any compensation. Black just missed a good ending continuation. And the game's still relatively even, except White's a pawn down. But Black plays his knight here, and now White now blunders the game away. Whoops. Yeah, it kept coming up. He blunders the game away, running into very similar tricks. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and now a deadly little discovery. Check on the king, on the queen, and there goes the queen. And now Black is ahead of queen for a minor piece. So the game is essentially over. And you make sure that the back rank doesn't get him before it even comes a possibility. And White decided to resign. Okay, so with correct play, White could have even won that game. Didn't have to give up the exchange with G3. Just knight E1 would have done it. Okay, let's bring up the other game, and we'll flip the board. I don't know why Chess.com starts these games somewhere else. I just never figured that out why. We'll flip the board. Okay. So we have the Slav defense. Now usually Black doesn't bring this bishop out, and I don't know all the theory behind it, but I think it's premature. In a mainline opening, stick with the principle, knights before bishops. And knight e5 is certainly an interesting move. E3 would have been playable. But now the absence of this light squared bishop on the queen side, White plays to try to take advantage of that, and makes Black step into a pin. Okay, and now White develops a piece, and here's where Black starts going wrong. Correct is knight f6. He's got to be careful about this pawn coming up and this bishop getting here, and that's what Black's next move is. But he can hold on if he plays knight f6. He needs to cover this pawn on d5 first. He just can't afford to give it up. So before bishop b5 becomes a threat, black prevents it, and this proves to be his undoing. Now white just simply wins a pawn, and black should have realized this and not gone into it, because in theory, white's winning. White's just a clear pawn ahead. And let's move forward. Had to prevent the check on b6, and that's kind of a bad move. It's just going to give bad h-pawns, so white just happily makes exchanges, giving black some pretty weak pawns. And then white just starts developing pieces and looking for trades. He attacks a pawn. It's defended. Now he decides that he wants to use the c-file. And white's just happy to trade, because not only is it a clear pawn ahead, he's got the two bishops, and black has a couple weak h-pawns. So this is theoretically winning for white. It's just a matter of trading down. And here we go, stopping all counterplay. There's one of the free pawns. Nice 2 pawns up. Let's stop and trade some more. Activate the rook. Save the bishop. White's 2 pawns up and winning, and there's nothing black can do about it. He just doesn't have any kind of play. Let's trade some more. Now you got all your kingside pawns are weak. Let's attack another one. Okay, and this is good to take here. It maintains a passed pawn, and it provides a king a path up to the board to help out in the war against those pawns. And this just gives up another pawn. If anything, play rook d7. But now he's down 3 pawns. And white can pretty much win this any way he chooses. And then black makes a blunder and steps into a fork, and that's the end of the game. So I didn't touch much on knight f6. Let's go back and look at it. Come on, let's go back to that point here, please. There it is. Okay. Knight gf6 was the proper move. Now if white pushes e3, now you play a6. You have to keep this bishop out. Okay. And let's see what's going to happen next. White will play bishop d3 maybe. Black needs some development. Okay, castle. Black needs to castle. Now what's white going to do with this bishop? It's kind of shut in. Well, let's just get it off the back rank. And castle, breaking the pin. And we have a game of chess to be played. Anybody's game. Who's going to have the best strategy is going to win. Okay? So, thank you so much for taking a look at this. Congratulations to MauiMan on your 2 wins. Hopefully you can take my suggestions and help your play improve. Okay. Thanks so much for your time. Bye now.